Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, you people on the interwebs. So I just got back from Harley Davidson, particularly the Patriot, one out in Fairfax. I live around the Fairfax area. I would like to talk to you guys about my thoughts on the StreetGlide, Harley Davidson StreetGlide. Now, the StreetGlide is basically a Harley Davidson, pun intended here, stupid joke. But the difference is that, so it's one of the hardtail and softtail models, depending on which one you get. It's more of the softtail models because it does have differential suspension. You can basically adjust your suspension for a stiffer or a more relaxed ride. I particularly like a more relaxed ride when I ride. So, and a little bit of a backstory here. I'm only 5'2", 5'3" on a good day. So I'm a short rider and I need all of the seat height that I can get lowered so that I can flat foot this bike. Now, I pretty much can flat foot it to about this much. Not all the way, but about this much. So about 70 to 80% of the actual weight of the bike. What else would I like to point out here? So it's the Softails version with a fork-mounted fairing, okay? Now, there's two variations here. You have the Road Glide and the StreetGlide, okay? And then you have the Road King. So, the Road King is no music fairing and just a big old plexiglass windshield. That's the Road King, okay? The Road Glide is the StreetGlide with a frame-mounted fairing, okay? Not really my cup of tea, but, you know, there are people that like it. What else can I talk about? I would also like to mention that the StreetGlide comes in many different packages and variations. You have the limited, you have the special, and you have the standard. Now, I rode the standard today with a unique paint color, which I guess might be what you call the limited, but it has everything else standard, just the paint's different. It's called the Tahitian Blue. So comfort. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Like I said earlier, the only reason that I didn't give it a full 10, guys, was because I can't flat foot the bike at standard seat height. But if you're an average rider, I would give it a 10 out of 10, okay? For dependability, it started up every time. It is fuel injected, so in the winter time or in the colder climates, gonna have that on-call power and fuel and air. So what else can I tell you about? The performance. Yes, performance. So, for the performance, there's a couple of key features that they've installed on the bike. One noticeable feature is that it is a hydraulic clutch, okay? It's not a cable clutch. So a cable clutch, basically, when you pull the lever, what's going on is there's a wire cable mechanism that's being pulled from your transmission to the flywheel and the clutch pack, okay? And it's disengaging the flywheel when you pull it out, right? So there's no power. And then when you let go, it releases and pushes that cable back towards the transmission clutch pack, providing power to that wheel, okay? So that's a cable clutch. The Harleys are hydraulic clutched. So all that mechanism in motion and movement is all done by oil, okay? Within the lever itself. There's no cable involved. When it comes to the throttle response, as soon as you roll back the throttle, instant power. I mean, total power. Now, they do come in a couple of engine sizes, and I'll go over that in a little bit under the specs part here. So, they do have a neat, unique feature. It's called rear cylinder deactivation. So when you roll back the throttle, as you would on any Harley, right? That's how you get power to the transmission, right? And the cylinders. So when you roll forward just a bit, what happens is the back cylinder deactivates, reducing a couple things. It reduces power when you don't need it, especially on highway, right? Because who's going to need all that power on the highway when you're just cruising for about 50 to 80 miles? Don't need it, right? It's also going to help you on fuel consumption. You don't have to put fuel in both cylinders there, okay? It's going to help you on your comfort. It's not going to be as vibrant on you, because I know there's been a lot of complaints about engine vibration. And guys, got to tell you, there's hardly no engine vibration on these newer models. Can't tell you from the older models, because I never was able to sit on one and ride one, but it is absolutely minimal to zero. There are a couple of models, guys, that they do have for sale. They have the 107, they have the 103, which is pretty much being outdated now. They have the 109, they have the 111, the 114, and the 117, okay? There may be a couple models after that, but those are your basic models that they're going to be selling. And I think the models now, 2022, they're going at a minimum of 114. They do have that Milwaukee 8 on them, which is a very, very nice motor. I wasn't able to test ride the Evo motor, so I can't tell you guys the difference between the two. But I tell you guys, man, I've rode the Evo, the Milwaukee 8 now twice. Smooth, absolutely, that you can imagine. What else can I tell you guys? The navigation controls. Harley, I give you guys about a 6.5 out of 10. There could be some better user-friendly interface there. I was trying to dial in my favorite music station. I had to fumble about 15 different keys at a stoplight to try to find my favorite station. Not a well-designed station, guys. I'm sorry, an interface on that ferry. They call it the Books 1, right? The control for the ignition, you turn it on. For the fuel, you turn it all the way to the right for your accessory. You turn it once toward the left for the off switch. Now that kills your fuel, right? And then you can turn it to left again, and that will lock your forks, so there's no key involved. But you can also lock that ignition switch so they can't fumble with that, so that's double the security system. Speaking of security, your saddlebags. You can actually open your saddlebags with a mechanism, and you can lock your saddlebags as well. So not only do they have to be able to open it with the lever, but they'd have to get your key as well. And speaking of keys, guess what Harley did? They have a wireless remote keyless entry. So if you have your key fob on you, your bike's unlocked. If you don't, you can also enter a PIN to be able to unlock it. But only you would be able to identify that. So that just about wraps up my review, guys. I think that it would be a potential purchase for me. Now, as far as the Dark Horse and the StreetGlide is concerned, I favored the Dark Horse over the StreetGlide only because of a couple things. That Dark Horse did have a couple of modes, and I was able to flat foot without changing the suspension or anything on that bike myself. Alright? Thank you guys for listening and watching. I appreciate you guys staying around and being involved. My name is Sean, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. I'm out.